Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a topic that really touches everyone: AI and memory. How technology is changing the way we remember. Memory isn't just, well, a function of the brain, right? It's how we hold on to the people, the places, the moments that make us who we are, but how we preserve those truly precious memories. That's where things are evolving dramatically in ways that might surprise us. So, for this deep dive, we're asking, what does this shift really mean for families? And, can tools like AI genuinely help us remember without losing that essential human touch?
That's a huge question, and it really helps to look back first. For centuries, memory keeping was very physical, tangible. We're talking handwritten letters,
Yeah.
folded carefully, those big family photo albums, maybe a bit worn out, and maybe most importantly, stories passed down orally around the dinner table. But these methods, as much as we cherish them, were also incredibly fragile. Photos aged, they faded, tapes, well, they wore out. And those amazing stories, they risked being forgotten if they weren't actively written down or told again and again. Now, fast forward to today. AI is becoming part of everyday life, and technology is just profoundly reshaping how we capture, organize, and revisit the moments that define us. This deep dive is really going to unpack that transformation.
Absolutely. Let's start there, contrasting that before era with what came next. Before smartphones, before the cloud, memory keeping was, like you said, physical, limited. We all picture it, right? Photos yellowing in a shoebox, old VHS tapes you can't even play anymore, stories needing constant effort to keep alive, or they just faded away. It felt like a race against time, didn't it?
It really did.
Then came that first big shift, early digital stuff, social media like Facebook, Instagram. And suddenly, boom, instant archives of daily life. We thought, great, problem solved.
But yeah, that's where we immediately hit a pretty critical downside. The problem, as we've seen so many times now, is that those memories, yeah, they're easy to upload, but they're scattered all over the place. They're hard to organize properly, and crucially, they're vulnerable.
Vulnerable, how so?
Well, think about it. Accounts get closed, people lose passwords, platforms themselves just disappear. And families often find out way too late that precious posts, maybe videos, entire conversations, sometimes irreplaceable moments are just gone, vanished into the digital ether. It's a different kind of fragile than a fading photo, but just as real.
Okay, right. So here's where it gets really interesting, because this feels like the turning point. This is where AI steps in. Instead of just relying on, storage alone or hoping Facebook sticks around forever, AI helps us transform that scattered mess photos, videos, voice notes into actual stories, timelines, meaningful tributes.
Exactly. It shifts us from just passive storage, which is vulnerable, to active intelligent creation. It's not just holding data, it's making sense of it.
Right. So AI, people often think it's super technical, maybe futuristic, but really, at its best, it's a practical helper. When we say practical helper, where does it show up first in this memory landscape? What's the first impact people usually see?
Well, probably the first place many people bump into AI here is with photo organization and enhancement. I mean, most of us have thousands of photos, right? On our phones, computers, often just a total jumble. AI tools can now, like, instantly recognize faces, group photos by event or location, sort by time period, pretty much automatically. It brings order to that digital chaos.
Okay, that alone is huge for anyone who's ever scrolled endlessly trying to find that one photo. But what's really striking is that beyond just organizing, AI can actually restore things.
Yes, this is fascinating. It can take an old, faded, scratched photo, maybe a grandparent's face is barely visible, and AI can intelligently remove the scratches, colorize black and white images, essentially bring family archives back to life.
Wow, so it's not just tidying up, it's like resurrecting details. Details that could spark stories, you know? Reignite connections. I've heard stories about people seeing a clear photo of a great grandparent for the first time thanks to AI. It's almost like meeting them.
Absolutely. It breathes new life into the past.
Yeah.
And speaking of life, let's talk about voice. Hearing a loved one's voice again, especially after they're gone, that's one of the most powerful ways to feel connected. It's visceral.
Oh, incredibly so. I think we all have maybe an old voicemail saved, just hoping we never accidentally delete it.
Exactly.
Right.
And AI makes preserving this much, much easier now. You can record conversations easily, transcribe the spoken words into text, and then archive both the audio and the text. So families don't have to worry so much about handwritten notes fading or, recording stuck on old tapes or mini discs that nothing can play anymore.
That bridges a huge gap. It makes that voice searchable, accessible in new ways. Okay, so photos, voice. What about storytelling? That's another big hurdle, right? Not everyone feels like a writer. Staring at a blank page, trying to write a eulogy or capture memories, it can feel really daunting.
Absolutely. But AI can simplify this process significantly. It can take raw notes, scattered anecdotes, maybe just bullet points, and help structure them into coherent stories.
So for someone facing that task, maybe drafting a tribute or a memory book, it doesn't feel quite so overwhelming.
That's the idea. Technology provides a kind of framework, a starting point, and then the family comes in and fills it with their unique personal details. It makes it authentic. It lowers that creative barrier, which can be a huge relief during a difficult time.
And beyond these applications, we're also seeing more, well, cutting edge stuff, right? Interactive tools.
Yes, the emerging tools.
Hmm.
Some experimental platforms are using AI avatars, even voice cloning, to create interactive memorials.
Okay, that sounds intense.
It is, and this is where the conversation gets really interesting and maybe a bit complex. These tools definitely raise ethical questions. Where's the line between remembrance and simulation? But they also clearly signal where things might be heading. Technology that doesn't just store memories, but tries to recreate moments of connection. It's a different kind of engagement.
A different kind of engagement. Hmm.
And that potential brings us to, I think, an even deeper impact of AI, especially during grief and loss. Grieving is just overwhelming. The thought of sorting through boxes of photos, old messages, journals, it can feel impossible when you're in that state.
Yeah, completely paralyzing sometimes.
Exactly. And this is where AI makes a real tangible difference. First, it lowers the barriers. Families don't need special skills in writing or editing or archiving. AI tools simplify pulling everything together. It eases that mental load. Second, accessibility. Once memories are organized, they can be shared digitally, instantly, with relatives anywhere in the world. It connects people.
That global connection is huge.
Huge. And third, preservation for the future. AI helps ensure important files don't just sit on a hard drive, forgotten. They get transformed into accessible, meaningful formats. That gives people real peace of mind, knowing these things won't just disappear.
That sounds incredibly helpful, especially in such a tender time, but it makes me wonder, is there a risk? Could making memory too easy mean we kind of skip over some of the active processing, the sifting through things that's part of healing?
That's a really thoughtful point, and it gets to the heart of the balance needed here. The goal isn't to replace the human process of grief or remembrance, not at all. It's to support it. It's about removing the logistical hurdles so families can focus on the emotional journey, on the memories themselves, not the mechanics. Think of it like providing a scaffold, making the emotional work more accessible, not less.
Okay, that makes sense. A scaffold, not a replacement.
Exactly. So what does this all mean? In grief, look, the goal isn't to replace the person impossible. It's about keeping their essence present. Their voice, their laugh, their stories in ways future generations can genuinely connect with, maintaining that thread through time. AI helps weave that thread stronger.
AI is powerful, no doubt. But you hit on it earlier, is it the full answer? What about the human element? Because, yeah, left entirely to its own devices, technology can feel cold, impersonal, just data points.
And that's precisely why the human side matters most. Families don't just want auto-sorted photos or, generic machine-generated text. They want curated spaces, spaces that feel deeply personal, sacred, lasting. They want to infuse their love, their perspective. So the real value, the sweet spot, is in combining the best of technology with a thoughtful, human-centric framework, one that reflects the uniqueness of each life. It has to be a partnership where tech serves our human needs, not the other way around.
So, to make this concrete, let's look at an example mentioned in the sources, a life portrait. This platform seems to really embody that philosophy, technology, serving love and legacy. How does it do that?
Right. A life portrait is designed to make remembrance simple, but keep the heart intact. For instance, straightforward photo and video uploads. Easy to gather things without worrying they're lost on 10 different sites. They really prioritize voice recordings, too, preserving stories in the actual voice, that powerful connection you mentioned.
Yeah, the voice thing is key.
Definitely. Then there are things like auto-generated videos. Instead of complex editing, it helps create tribute videos, synced to music, ready to share pretty easily. It also has built-in timelines, organizing memories into a life story with chapters and milestones. Makes it coherent.
And it's not just one person doing it all.
No, and that's crucial. It allows for family contributions. Multiple people can add memories, stories, photos. That ensures it's a collective legacy, that no one's perspective gets left out. It builds something richer together.
So the result is a memorial that feels both human and enduring, but it's got the tech working behind the scenes. You don't need to become a tech expert. The platform handles the heavy lifting, so your focus stays on what matters. Remembering, celebrating, connecting. It frees you up.
Precisely. It lets you focus on the meaning, not the mechanics.
Looking ahead then, AI keeps evolving. So new ways of remembering are bound to emerge, right? It feels like we're just scratching the surface. What might we see? Maybe more immersive memorials, like stepping into a digital recreation of someone's life, or smarter tools suggesting keepsakes based on patterns in photos and texts. It sounds almost like science fiction.
It does lean that way sometimes. And those possibilities are likely coming. More immersive experiences, smarter curation. But, through all these potential technological leaps, one thing I believe will remain absolutely constant, and that's our fundamental human need to remember, to connect, to honor. Technology might change the tools we use, make them easier, more vivid, more interactive, but it won't change the underlying purpose, that deep-seated drive to preserve our stories and the stories of those we love. That's timeless. That's just part of being human.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, the takeaway seems clear. Memory, incredibly precious, but also easily lost if we're not intentional. AI and technology are truly reshaping how we capture and revisit life's moments. That's undeniable. Yet the heart of remembrance is still human. It's about love, connection, legacy, always has been, always will be.
Absolutely. We've explored how tech enhances remembering, makes it simpler, more accessible, more vivid. But here's something to think about for your own future explorations. As AI crafts these increasingly rich, accessible digital legacies, what new responsibilities might we have as individuals, as families? Responsibilities to ensure these memories aren't just preserved, but are genuinely understood, valued, and maybe even learned from by the generations to come. Something to ponder. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.